K9 German Shepherds found a forest ranger chained to a tree. What they did next will make you cry. A highly trained team of K9 German Shepherds was on a routine exercise in the snowy mountains when something unimaginable happened. Their handler, distracted for just a moment, lost sight of them. In that split second, the dogs veered off the familiar trail, driven by an instinct deeper than training, an unbreakable loyalty and their innate sense of duty. They vanished into the thick, icy woods, silent but focused. As the minutes stretched on, the woods grew darker and colder, shadows dancing behind the snow-laden branches. The dogs moved with purpose, nose to the ground, ears alert for any hint of life or distress. Then suddenly they saw him. A man, barely conscious, bloodied, bruised and trembling, hung from a frozen tree. Chains bit into his wrists, his body swaying gently in the biting wind. He was a forest ranger, left for dead in the middle of nowhere, abandoned and vulnerable, his life hanging by a thin thread. The sight was heartbreaking. His clothes were torn, his face pale and streaked with blood, eyes fluttering in and out of consciousness. The dogs approached him cautiously, not with wild barking or frantic circling, but with a calm, deliberate grace that seemed almost human. The alpha, scarred and wise, lowered himself just enough to sniff him gently, as if checking for signs of life. The other dogs gathered around in a protective formation, their bodies tense yet tender. What happened next was nothing short of extraordinary. Instead of barking loudly to alert humans, the dogs began to work with a quiet precision that moved even the seasoned officers watching from a distance. The lead dog pressed his nose against the chains, sniffing intensely, as if understanding the importance of their task. The others began digging at the snow and ice around the man's chains, their paws swift and purposeful. Snow flew everywhere as they worked, relentless and focused. One of the dogs, the most experienced, found a rusted, frozen padlock buried in the snow. With a careful, deliberate tug, he managed to loosen it, the cold metal squeaking in protest. The chains loosened just enough for the ranger to shift slightly, his ragged breath hitching as he felt the chains give way. The dogs continued their work, barking softly but urgently now, as if calling for help in their own way. Each movement was precise, coordinated, an unspoken plan that transcended words. Suddenly, distant voices broke through the dense woods, shouting and calling out for the ranger. The dogs, sensing the approaching rescue, increased their efforts. They licked his face gently, nudged him with their noses, and then, almost as if understanding that their work was done, backed away slightly to give him room. One of the dogs, Valor, the oldest and most scarred, stayed close, eyes locked onto the ranger's trembling face, as if silently reassuring him. "You are not alone." The rescue team burst through the trees, their flashlights piercing the darkness, hearts pounding with urgency. The dogs barked once, sharply, in a unified call that seemed to say, "We found him, he's alive." As the team rushed to free the ranger and tend to his wounds, the dogs circled protectively, their bodies tense, but calm. They watched over him, silent guardians until he was safe. But what truly moved everyone present was not just the rescue itself. It was the unspoken bond that had formed in that frozen moment. The dogs had looked at him with understanding, compassion, and unwavering loyalty. They had acted with a sense of purpose beyond mere instinct. They had become his protectors when he needed them most. And in that fragile, icy silence, the ranger knew that these dogs were more than animals. They were heroes. As the ranger was lifted into the rescue helicopter, he looked back at the woods where they had found him. His eyes welled with tears, not from pain alone, but from a profound sense of gratitude. These dogs, guided only by loyalty and love, had risked everything, braving the cold, the dangers, the darkness, to save a life. It was a moment that would be etched into the hearts of everyone who witnessed it, a testament to the extraordinary bond between humans and their loyal protectors. From that day on, the story of the chained ranger and the brave canine heroes spread far and wide, inspiring countless others. It was a powerful reminder that sometimes, in the depths of despair, it's the quietest, most loyal hearts that shine the brightest, and that true courage isn't always loud or grand. It's in the gentle, unwavering actions of those who refuse to give up, no matter how cold or dark the world may seem. The rescue team burst through the trees, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. The dogs barked sharply, a clear signal that they had found him, alive. The ranger, trembling and weak, was being carefully lifted from the snow by the paramedics. But as they worked, something strange happened. The dogs didn't step back. Instead, they stayed close, eyes fixed on the ranger's face as if guarding him even now. Suddenly, a faint groan escaped the ranger's lips. His eyes fluttered open, glassy and unfocused. The medic gently touched his shoulder. "You're safe now," she whispered. But the ranger's trembling hand reached out, gripping her arm tightly. His eyes searched the woods behind them, panic, flickering there. "Wait," he rasped, voice barely audible. "They're still out there." Everyone froze. The dogs growled softly, ears twitching. The forest was silent for a moment. Then came a strange rustling, deeper in the woods. Shadows moved, not just animals, but something else. Something lurking just beyond the reach of the light. A dark figure stepped forward, tall, cloaked in the night itself, the ranger's face drained of color. "You weren't supposed to find me," he whispered, voice trembling with fear and regret. The figure's voice was calm, cold. "You thought you could hide forever, but I always find what I'm looking for." A faint smile flickered in the shadows. The dogs barked fiercely, instinct kicking in. They positioned themselves protectively, snarling at the figure. But the man didn't flinch. Instead, he raised a hand slowly, revealing a gleaming object in his palm. A knife. The tension snapped like a wire. The medic's eyes widened. The ranger's grip tightened on her arm, trembling with dread. The dogs lunged forward, growling louder, teeth bared. But then, unexpectedly, the figure paused. His eyes flicked to the dogs, then to the ranger. A strange, almost regretful look crossed his face. "You've come this far," he said softly. "But this isn't over yet." Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed through the woods, an explosion of light and sound. The figure stumbled back, startled. From the darkness emerged more figures, rescue team members, armed and ready. They had arrived just in time. The mysterious figure cursed under his breath, then disappeared into the shadows, leaving behind only silence and the chilling echo of his words. This is just the beginning. The dogs stayed close, their bodies tense. The ranger, breathing hard, looked at them with a mixture of relief and fear. The fight wasn't over. Not yet. But for now they had saved him. Yet, deep in the shadows, the true threat still lurked, waiting for its next move. The shadow vanished into the darkness just as the rescue team's lights flickered across the clearing. Silence fell heavily, broken only by the ragged breathing of the ranger and the distant rustling of leaves. The dogs stayed alert, their bodies tense, eyes darting between the shadows and their exhausted human. Suddenly, a chilling whisper cut through the silence. "You think it's over?" The voice was cold, echoing from behind a thick cluster of trees. No one saw where it came from, but everyone felt it, like icy fingers brushing down their spines. The ranger's eyes widened. His trembling hand reached for the medic's arm, sweat beading on his brow.
Behind them, the woods seemed to breathe, shadows twisting, shapes flickering in and out of view. Then out of the darkness a figure emerged, cloaked, tall, with eyes that gleamed like midnight. It moved with a strange grace, silent as death. The dogs growled deeper, baring their teeth, sensing the danger. The figure stopped a few steps away, smiling coldly. "You thought you could run," he said, voice low and threatening. "But I always find what I'm after." From his pocket, he produced a small black device, something that hummed ominously like a ticking clock counting down to disaster. The ranger's voice was barely a whisper. Who are you?" The man's smile widened. "Someone you should have never crossed. Someone who always gets what he wants." He raised the device. "And now, I take what's mine." The hum grew louder, the air thick with dread. The dogs barked wildly, lunging forward. But the man held up a hand and suddenly a blinding flash erupted from the device, illuminating the woods in stark white. The dogs yelped and skidded back, eyes wide with confusion and fear. In that moment, everything shifted. The shadows behind the figure rippled, something unseen, something deadly. From the darkness, a second figure appeared, faster, stronger, with a face hidden beneath a hood. Without hesitation, it lunged at the cloaked man. A brutal struggle ensued. The man's device shattered on the ground, sparks flying. The second figure slammed him against a tree, forcing him to release the device. But then, with a sudden twist, the first man's hand shot out, grabbing a hidden knife and stabbing upward. The second figure staggered back, clutching his side, blood spilling onto the snow. The shadowy figure grinned. "You can't stop what's coming," he hissed. "This is only the beginning." Before anyone could react, the mysterious man disappeared into the woods, leaving chaos and shattered silence behind. The only sound now was the wind whispering of the storm to come, and the realization that they had only just begun to fight a darkness far deeper than they had ever imagined. The shadowy figure vanished into the darkness, leaving behind a trail of chaos. The air was thick with smoke and the scent of blood. The second figure, bleeding and trembling, clutched his side, eyes wide with shock. The mysterious man's twisted smile still lingered on his face as he disappeared into the trees, like a ghost slipping away just when things were about to explode. Suddenly, a loud crack shattered the silence. A sudden explosion erupted from the ground where the second figure had fallen. Dirt and debris shot into the air, and a blinding light lit up the night sky. It wasn't just an explosion. It was something else, something impossible. From the rubble, a towering figure emerged, cloaked in shadow, eyes glowing with unnatural light. It moved with a strange, inhuman speed, and as it stepped forward, the ground trembled beneath its feet. The confusion and fear among the rescue team intensified. They thought they had stopped the threat, but now it was clear. They had only awakened something far worse. The second figure's voice, weak and trembling, whispered, "It's not over. It's just beginning." He looked up, desperation etched into every line of his face. He's not just a man. He's a monster from the shadows. And he's been waiting for this moment. The towering shadow creature reached out with a hand that seemed to stretch beyond human limits. Its fingers gleamed like steel, and as it grasped the air, a dark energy crackled and pulsed. The sky darkened further, as if the night itself was succumbing to this new horror. Suddenly, from the depths of the woods, a faint, haunting melody echoed, eerily beautiful, yet utterly terrifying. It was as if the forest was singing a lullaby for the coming doom. The very ground beneath their feet seemed to pulse with anticipation, and then in a flash the creature's form shimmered, dissolving into a swarm of swirling shadows. An illusion. A trap. The real threat was still hidden, waiting to strike. The rescue team froze, realizing they had been played, their sense of victory shattered like glass. In that moment, the sky cracked open with a thunderous roar. A blinding light burst forth, more powerful than anything they had ever seen. It was as if the universe itself was tearing apart, revealing a truth so shocking it defied belief. The final twist hit like a lightning strike. An image burned into their minds forever. The shadow creature, the monster, was not from outside their world. It was a part of them, a darkness born from their own fears, their secrets, their sins. It had been lurking within, waiting for the right moment to awaken, and as the light faded, silence reigned. No one spoke. No one moved. Because they knew. The real nightmare was just beginning, and nothing would ever be the same again.